All right, so cadence. Cadence is essentially a big part in what I think is a natural action in Magic, because obviously I think that we'll never come to an agreement into like what is a natural like magic motion or whatever, right? I mean, we've had like organic magic or whatever, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but personally, like these are like this is like part of the theory as to what I think makes like natural motions, or like something that's like mechanically like natural, I want to say. So cadence is something that's like a tempo, a beat, and a speed. So the main crux of the theory is that everything has its own speed, and that it's related to its own like context or the surrounding context. So for example, let's just say breathing, right? Breathing, you have a natural rhythm, right? You breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, breathe out. And you don't really change that tempo unless you do something else, like running or maybe sleeping. Your breathing slows down, right? Running, your breathing accelerates, right? And maybe if we take it a step further, maybe like music, obviously you have like a tempo for it. Or if you're a cadet like I was, then you know drill, right? Drill, if you're doing a right turn, it's turn 2 3 bang, and everybody knows that cadence. It's turn 2 3 bang, right? So every time there is a given speed for a given action, right? And so if someone breaks that speed, breaks that cadence, I want to say, then it will stick out like a sore thumb. So again, let's just take breathing for example again, right? Just everyday breathing. If you suddenly breathe really hard and fast, well, obviously people will take notice of you because that's not like natural, or that's not normal, because well, yeah, you're sticking out like a sore thumb because you're not blending in, let's just say. And for music, I mean, if everyone's playing at the same cadence and then suddenly you accelerate or you decelerate at that part, well, then suddenly everyone's gonna know it's you. Well, first off, because your instrument sounds different, so that's also plays a role. But I mean, they'll know that something is off because this one guy is or girl, we don't judge, but like this one person is playing too fast or too slow, and it'll make this one part really bizarre. Drill, again, if you're looking at a flight or a platoon, or you say, and you see someone is trailing behind, or you see someone is going too fast, they'll again stick out like a sore thumb because again, there is a given cadence for everything, and if you break that cadence, then you will stick out like a sore thumb. So how do we apply this to Magic? Well, I'll just give some examples first. So for example, a in the hand spread. So if you look at it in the hand spread, it's actually somewhat, well, it actually flows with my body language, right? So I usually have like a slower sort of approach to handling cards. And so, you know, my body also follows that motion, right? It's slow, it's deliberate, and it is like that, right? Unless, well, I'll get into that later, but you'll see that if I suddenly accelerate, right, it clashes with my body language so much that this specific moment sticks out like a sore thumb. And whether or not that's like intentional, well, it will stick out like a sore thumb. So if you're doing like a cull or anything and you suddenly accelerate, then this moment, well, people will take notice of it, right? Because again, you're breaking cadence and everyone will take notice of that. Let's just take something that's more technically difficult, right? Let's just take, for example, the bottom deal, because I've seen a lot of people do the bottom deal on social media and whatnot. And you'll see that a lot of people, when they start off with the bottom deal, is that they'll tend to hide the bottom dealing motion with speed. So you'll see that they suddenly deal like hands, for example, they deal cards, and it is in one smooth motion, but when it comes to their own hand, suddenly they accelerate. And that's a dead giveaway that you're doing something because you're breaking cadence. So how do we deal with changing cadence? Well, you can actually change cadence without it being out of context. And how do we do that? Well, you change the context around it. So for example, when I speak, I just tend to go slower. So if I go slower with my body language and with my speech, for example, then naturally my handling of cards will become slower as well. So during this time, if you're going to do anything, then, you know, go slower, right? So for example, with speaking, if I'm doing an in the hand spread, and you'll see that I'm doing this natural cadence, and then suddenly, well, now I speak, now I have to look up, now I have to address someone. Well, now my tempo slows down because I'm doing something else. This isn't my main concern. So naturally, my cadence will also slow down for my in the hand spread. Now, how do I accelerate the cadence, for example? If I do some sort of gesture, like I point to someone or I turn my body, well, now my cadence, well, now my motions can be more brusque, and now it can be quicker because I'm suddenly looking at someone or I'm addressing someone, right? So now if I'm doing it in the hand spread, now it can be faster because I'm trying to point to someone like, oh, hey, wait a second, right? So there is a given cadence for everything, but there are ways to break out of those given cadences by changing the context. So those are just some ways to break out of the cadence. You don't have to necessarily follow it to a T, but that's just generally how I like to address it. But yeah, that should be about it for cadence. It's a relatively short video, but I do think that it is important to address, especially because of social media. I've seen a lot of people try to hide their moves under speed, which I guess you can't see the move, but you can feel the move because, again, there's a difference in cadence and it clashes with everything else. So yeah, that's about it for this theory video. Another short theory video, but I do think that it is pretty helpful. So yeah, that's about it. And so yeah, that's about it. Yeah, see you guys next time. Peace, I guess.